Chris Godwin now becomes the top free agent wide receiver, maybe top free agent in 2025 because T. Higgins has been franchise tagged and no longer considered a free agent. We got the free agent board right here. We're going to break down our thoughts on where he could go. Will Godwin go anywhere? Did today make Godwin more likely to potentially go to another team? Yeah, there's definitely some of that to kick around. But keep in mind that Godwin and the Bucs want to work something out. This is very evident that they want to be in the same situation walking into 2025 as they were in 2024. We'll talk about that and more. We also have Davante Adams rumored to be released here in the next couple of days. He will be cut by the Jets. The Jets have confirmed they will release Davante Adams. No one's going to trade for him at his contract value. He will be cut, meaning he'll be available to pair back up with Aaron Rodgers, or maybe he goes his own way. We'll talk about T. Higgins, the franchise tag, a little bit more about that. We'll talk about Jamar Chase, who wants probably $40 million. T. Higgins wants probably $34, $35 million. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
File on in, hit that thumb up button. The phone lines are open. We'll just open them now if you want to dial in. But the news right now, the current news of the moment is that T. Higgins has been franchise tagged. We talked about that on the earlier show, the breaking news show, specifically about that specific topic, but we can talk about it all show. We've got Jamar Chase wanting his bag, T. Higgins and Jamar. You got a lot of people that just know everything that say, they can't sign both of our Smitty. There's no way that the team can sign both wide receivers. Yes, they can. The question is, will they? We don't know that. But a lot of it determines the order and how things evolve and unfold. How or if this thing can happen, when it can happen quickly. Will there be animosity and divide created between T. Higgins and the organization to potentially push toward a trade? Joe Burrow wants T. Higgins back. Joe Burrow wants both his wide receivers back. Joe Burrow wants to burrow people in 2025. He does. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.
He said it himself. He will do whatever it takes to renegotiate and figure out a way to get both wide receivers on roster. Now, T. Higgins might ask for too much money, and that could put a damper on things. This is a post-combine note here by Tony Pauline, who said Davante Adams has been told that the Jets will intend cut the receiver in the coming days. So Davante Adams will be released by the New York Football Jets in a couple of days, making him a free agent that we could put back on this board and slide right next to Godwin. It will be Godwin, then Davante Adams in that order. Those will be the top two free agents in the free agent pool. Non-quarterbacks at least. Darnold, Fields, there's still obviously some intrigue there. Aaron Jones pushed back his contract void date to right before the league calendar year begins, just like Godwin did. So the anticipation is that Aaron Jones will remain a Viking because he's working with them and not postponing that date by Godwin and Aaron Jones when they didn't need to means they want to sign, they want to stay with their prospective teams. But Davante Adams will be a free agent and be on that board very shortly. So we'll discuss that more today too. It was Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen reported that there was an offer and a agreeable contract offer and a trade that was pretty much agreeable sent by the Giants. So a deal was ready to be done. Remember when I tell you that if a player is being traded and there's any sort of extension to be had, like in the case of Stafford, the trade and the extension get announced at the same time in parallel. They get them both ready to go, and this means that the Giants were this close to getting Matthew Stafford. But Stafford took less money per Rich Eisen to stay in the Rams uniform. But this is also, I'm being told, a year-to-year situation again. Stafford could have got a long-term, more money type of deal done, but now he's going to kick the can down the road again. And this deal that he supposedly signed or is signing is going to be 1 year at a time again. It's going to be, a deal that's really based off him getting his money this year, and they'll reassess. And McVay said he'll have a conversation with them next offseason. Very similar conversation. So it's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers year-by-year approach thing, which I don't know why Stafford would have picked that if he was looking for this long-term deal. Kind of, frustrating to watch this guy waste all of our time when he was given and presented with an idea to go to another team and get a big bag, but he decided to go year to year again. So, I don't know. Good for Puka Nacua, but Stafford's not necessarily locked in for 2026. Know that for Puka Nacua's dynasty value. Don't think Stafford back. Oh, he's back for 2 or 3 years. He's back for 1 year, and then they're going to take it year at a time. So we could be in the same exact situation in this time next offseason. So just know that for Puka Nacua's dynasty value. That's pretty much it, guys. I mean, there's a little bit of other news like trickling in. The Shaduer Sanders news. Let me see if I can find that clipping somewhere. I think I had it around here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. I might have to drag it onto my screen, but basically there's some word that Shaduer Sanders is kind of like getting some bad reports and talk regarding his attitude and his cockiness, and not a good look for teams that are considering taking him in the top 1, 2, 3. But this is good for the Giants in that if Shaduer's getting some of these bad reviews, he's being called kind of arrogant and cocky and not in an attractive way. This means that the Giants will probably luck out and he will be available at number 3. Now, you could say, oh, Smitty, that's, maybe we don't want him going there. And I understand. I'm not saying it's the most ideal of scenarios. I really am not. I would much rather have Cam Ward. I would probably rather have Fields. I would probably consider Darnold and Sanders about the same. Let me see if I can find the Sanders report. I had it somewhere. I might have to find that again. Sam Darnold. 2 likely landing spots for Sam Darnold, Raiders and Giants. Let me throw that report up on my screen as well, and we'll talk about that. I don't have the Shadour one in front of me. I'll have to find it, but you don't really even need to read it. I'll just tell you. So, yeah, essentially he's brash. He was kind of cocky. He was arrogant, and some teams were put off by that. Now, were the Giants put off by that? Were the Browns put off by that? Were the Titans put off by that? I don't know. And those are the only teams that really, matter, I guess, right now. But I think it's a good sign that Shadour will be there for the Giants at 3. So that's at least some good news. And I think Dable can cure some of what some teams are concerned about. As far as the other news that I wanted to touch on real quickly, this is the Sam Darnold news. 2 teams likely to land Sam Darnold according to The Athletic. Take this for like with a grain of salt. The Raiders and Giants. So Raiders and Giants, we've been talking about those landing spots quite a bit. And then this report, I've been talking about this guy for about a year and a half now. Why aren't the Raiders considering trading him or playing him? This was at one point the top tight end to come out of college in quite some time. Kincaid kind of one-upped him at the end in the prospect evolving process. And Mayer just kind of vanished on the bench. Brock Bowers was drafted, and this is a good tight end. This is a tight end you want in potentially Cincinnati. This is a tight end you would love to see go to Green Bay and play with Jordan Love. This is a tight end that I would love to see, maybe in Buffalo. As much as I love Kincaid, for whatever reason, he's not developing, and so this would be a nice option. KC to replace Travis Kelce. That would be a smart preemptive move by the Kansas City Chiefs. That would be just like Veach to pull that off. But this is a great tight end that's still available in this National Football League, and he plays for a team that just can't, utilize him to the fullest extent that he's capable of being utilized. That's pretty much it for right now. I'll keep combing through, X and the news and all my sources I follow closely in case there's anything that pops up. The Athletic also talked about 2 teams being strongly interested in Jackson Dart. Some say it could be the 3rd or 4th, depending on how you view Milton. Jackson Dart could be taken in the middle of the first round. So as we talked about, probably one quarterback, maybe 2 other than the top 2 could go in round 1. There's a chance that 4 go in round 1, but there's also a really strong chance that it's just Shaduer and Cam Ward, or Cam Ward then Shaduer, and then you have Milton go, or Jackson Dart, or both of them. But it probably will be 3 QBs in round 1, but it wouldn't even shock me if it was just the 2. Hard to say, but Jackson Dart is being looked up by some teams. Some people really like him. More of a day 2 pick, a second round pick, but could definitely slip in there. Those that wonder about James Cook is still in sort of a preemptive holdout mode, and that doesn't get talked about a lot, especially as we draft on Underdog. Promo code Smitty. You guys want to draft tonight, or any night? I'm pretty sure we may or may not draft tonight. We might. I'll keep you posted at the end of the show, but if not, we'll draft tomorrow. But on Underdog, it's pretty, it's pretty all over the place in terms of these ADPs right now. But James Cook is going in the 3rd round, and he's in preemptive holdout mode. And the Athletic report revealed today that his price tag would likely, who's saying this, who knows, smoke season, would likely come down for the Bills to sign an extension. It has to come down. His asking price has to come down. He wants, $15 million per season? So for the Bills to sign him to an extension, which the Bills are interested in, that number has to come down quite a bit. I would imagine about 12.5 to 13 maybe mil. But I could see him giving him 12 mil a year. I could see that. James Cook had a great year. I like James Cook a lot. I do kind of feel like this is a year to maybe, I don't want to say stay away from him necessarily, but don't oversaturate. And I find myself at the top of 3 when he's around and sitting there, and I'm looking at the other players, and I see a Josh Allen or a JD5, or I see a McBride. I have a chance to get the number 1 player at their prospective position. It just looks a little bit more attractive. I see a Breece Hall. I see a Kyron Williams. I see a Bucky Irving. I see a JSN. Those are all just picks I tend to take 10 times out of 10 over James Cook. And it's not that I don't like James Cook. It's just that's where my line in the sand is starting to develop for him, is below those guys every time. Geno Smith, Seahawks GM, wants to select a QB this year, but will not force the pick. That could be a team that gets Jackson Dart. That could be a team that gets Milroe. Tua Tagovailoa comes to mind, too, as a quarterback that his team might say, we love you, pal, but take Milroe just in case. So Geno and Tua, dare I say, those are probably, let me put that down here on the board. I would say Seattle and Miami are probably 2 of the most likely teams to want Milroe, in my opinion, or should, or Dart. I think those would be 2 very sneaky selections by 2 teams that probably have a little bit of fear that this quarterback that they have, that they're kind of married to, is not the real deal. I don't think they are. Chris Godwin, Patriots are expected to get very involved. This is a report that came out from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Patriots are expected to be in hot pursuit of Chris Godwin. But I do think Chris Godwin, maybe it's not a 90% chance of going back to Tampa Bay because the T. Higgins tagging, which we knew was going to happen, but just the actual tagging, what it does to people's mindsets, and where it makes teams like all of a sudden focus their attention and puts a spotlight on Godwin, and then his name's brought up, and then he starts getting in his own head saying, maybe I'll walk away and go wine and dine with another team and see what I can go get. And that's what that temptation is what led Kirk Cousins out of his Minnesota Vikings situation, and he was so tempted by the Atlanta Falcons he left. So Chris Godwin could certainly go flirt and have a cup of coffee with another team and get wined and dined and love what he hears and goes and signs a big mega contract. Also, keep in mind, teams that are desperate to go get a player like the New England Patriots, they're oftentimes, I would say 80% of the time, more likely to pay more money. And the team retaining the player is kind of dancing along some numbers and playing some accounting games, whereas the prospective team is more willing to write a blank check. And that's why you hear that Matthew Stafford was going to get more money from the Giants, but he took significantly, it's being called, according to reports at least, significantly less money for Stafford to go back to the Rams That's the kind of thing we're talking about. So Godwin could be influenced by a hometown discount. Love my guys. Want to stay with Baker. Baker's my boy. This is where I want to be. Got a home here, whatever. Or maybe he wants the bag. Maybe he wants the respect and the bag, and maybe that he's not going to get it from Tampa Bay. And just because he loves his coach, he loves his team, he loves his quarterback, doesn't mean he loves the way the ownership and the brass are talking to him and all those things that we can't see behind closed doors. So those are things that can affect everything. BBQ dropping a $5 hauler. Appreciate you, my boy. Says, looking at the draft order and QB need, could the Steelers be takers for drafting Dart or Milroe at 21? They certainly could. Even if they took Russell Wilson, they certainly could. Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't put that past them. But I think that if they do go, it depends on the contract too, though, bro. Like, they give, Russell Wilson this, $40 million deal. Is Russell Wilson still getting paid by the Denver Broncos? Remember last year, Denver paid $35 million or $30 million for the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos paid $30-something million for Russell Wilson to play for the Steelers, and the Steelers signed him for $1 million. They only had to pay $1 million of his salary, and 30 plus was paid by the Denver Broncos. So I don't know. Depends who's paying the tab. Denver, you want to step up? But if Pittsburgh signs Russell Wilson to some huge contract, I don't know if they think he's their guy. The thing is, you might say, Smitty, I don't think that'll happen. They'll sign him to a one-year deal. Russ might be able to go get a multi-year deal somewhere, because the QB climate is kind of dry, and some teams are going to recklessly pay for probably Fields and Russell Wilson, and so there's some opportunity for the Steelers to be pressured into giving him more money than they did the first time around on a one-year deal when no one really wanted to take a chance at Russell Wilson. But now it's kind of weird how the NFL works. BBQ, appreciate you, but I think, yeah, if they've got him on a one-year deal, then sure, they could definitely be a candidate to go get a QB, no doubt about it. A lot of teams could be. A lot of teams. But I do think that these two teams make sense from my perspective. This is just my guess. I'm not necessarily trying to plant my flag here and say, we told you, but maybe we will. Maybe we will tell you. But Seattle, Miami, they just seem smart. Seems like smart locations. The Vikings, Milroe. Vikings. The Raiders, Milroe or Dart makes a lot of sense. Even if they bring in, if the Raiders bring in Darnold or Rodgers, I'm still looking at Milroe and Dart. And what the Falcons did last year, I'm not saying it was smart, in everybody's sense of the word smart, but look, Penix Jr. was a great pick. You could go back and say that the contract wasn't. I remember saying a bunch of times on a bunch of different live streams that people are saying the Penix Jr. pick was stupid. And I was on the other side of that. I'm like, it's nuts. The most genius pick you could come up with, given the circumstance. The circumstance that the Falcons put themselves in by committing all that money to Kirk Cousins. But I was saying, if anything's going to be dumb, it'll be the reflection of the contract they gave Kirk Cousins, not the pick of Penix Jr. The pick of Penix Jr. was actually genius. And we were 100% right across the board. Let's go! Mashed potato! I mean, damn. So... Dart and Milroe could be the same formula. Maybe with a quarterback that wasn't given quite the guaranteed money that Cousins was, but it could be Russell Wilson. It could be Geno. It could be Tua, who's already been paid and on a contract, and it's not as, crazy to think of it that way. Phone lines open, dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Call into the Attic.shop phone line, if you dare, and we'll talk some shop on the Attic.shop phone line. Godwin Bills, I would do it. I don't know if the Bills think that way. The Bills, I don't know, man. The Bills concern me. I say my Bills, I love the Bills. My boy Josh Allen, but I just don't know what they're thinking and when they're thinking it and how they're thinking it and what they want to potentially actually do. It's just such a frustrating thing to watch this team continuously do a little bit less than they should. It's like in Office Space. They just want to wear the normal amount of flair that's expected. They don't want to wear any extra flair. You know, how many flare pieces are required on my outfit? 7? Okay, I'll wear 7. Like, why not wear 10? Why don't the Bills want to go out and let's just get Godwin? You know, I would do it, but I don't know that they will. I don't think that they will. Darnold is feeling a lot more like if the Giants can't get the 1 pick, remember I said last night, I really feeling a vibe that the Giants are going hardcore after that 1 pick. Whether the Titans give it up or not is not in my control. If the Giants can't, which I think we'll find out they were really hardcore after it, they can't get it done, and the Titans are like, nope. I think Darnold looks as attractive as Sanders. And when you mix in the fact that you're not even positive that Sanders will be available at 3, you think he probably will be, but you're not sure, then you start thinking Darnold has to be taken seriously beforehand, and then the Giants are on the clock at 3 and they're like, damn, Sanders fell. You know, and I don't think they'd take him then. They signed Darnold to a big fat contract, but I also think Fields needs to be considered personally. That's my choice. I want Fields over Darnold, but I do love both Darnold and Fields, both kind of broken quarterbacks that Dable can fix because Dable's the quarterback whisperer. So hard to know where these guys are going to land, but I will say can't wait till some of this gets kicked off a little bit more. You know, we got free agency right around the corner. We're less than 2 weeks away now. We'll hear stuff the day before, you know, and then as soon as the new league year begins, it's like boom, all these things are gonna go down that are already arranged. You know, how does this happen without tampering? There's so many things that there's gonna be backdoor, you know, deals. So how did that happen? I don't know. it just happened. But there'll be 4 and 5 things that come out right away that are just lined up already, and that's the way it went last year. But who knows? Why are people so low on Fields? Because they got a close-minded, approach on it. There's 2 or 3, wild willies in the comments of every video I ever have that has Fields mentioned, and then some, keyboard warriors like, Smitty, you don't know what you're talking about with Justin Fields. He's not a good quarterback. He's not accurate. And people just speak about Justin Fields in a light that in my opinion, is wrong. In a light, and I'm not saying Fields is for sure going to work out. He needs to be repaired. He needs to be fixed. He's kind of like an old car that the engine needs to be just small little tweaks need to happen. But if you don't do the tweaks, then the engine won't run. Like this amazing vehicle that we've found that just needs a couple things fixed, and it's as good as new, and it's underrated. It's going to be amazing. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, it needs to be tweaked. It needs to be fixed. If you bring them to a place where no one knows how to do that mechanic work, the vehicle can't be fixed. Like, understand what I'm saying. I couldn't be more clear every time I talk about Justin Fields. But some sort of Fields hater thinks he knows everything about Justin Fields. Look at him in Pittsburgh. Look at him in Chicago. They don't hear what I'm saying. That I don't care what he looked like in Chicago or what he looked like in Pittsburgh. He was never given a proper chance in either place, so you can judge him however you want. I don't care. I let that go. If you start talking about those locations and the accuracy inside those locations, I don't even respond to your comment. You're just typing to nobody. I'm not going to reply to you because you're not listening to me. You're not even hearing what my argument is. So, he's still got a lot of ability to go up.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Please fix Fields and let him cook, says Freedom. I agree. I really, really hope he gets a shot. I can't wait. Where Godwin goes, nobody knows. But again, I said, 90% a couple weeks ago he'd be in Tampa. I'd say it's about 79%. Only change is because he's now being crowned the top free agent wide receiver in free agency, so his mindset might change a little bit. He might pause and say, negotiations on hold. Let me go let me go walk around the corner here. You guys have been dilly-dallying a little bit too long. And so that goes down to 79%. Just off that chance that he takes a little look around that he wouldn't have if Tampa Bay just kind of hurried up with this thing. 602, you're live from Phoenix, right? What's your name, bro?
Hey, Smitty, yeah, from Phoenix. My name's Nick. How's it going?
What's up, Nick? What can I do for you?
Hey, kind of off topic on your show today, but I'm just curious on being from Phoenix, and I know you root for the Cardinals a little bit. Curious on your take of the Cardinals overall going into, Kyler Murray's been with the team for a handful of years now, and just kind of how you see the team and where it should go and whatnot.
I think that Kyler can never win a Super Bowl. I think Kyler is a good quarterback. I think he's not a great teammate or a great what's the best way to put this? He can't lift everybody. Well, he's like one of those selfish leaders. I don't think he can lift players up. I think he can put it all on his back and win those games. But I'm waiting to see the Kyler, and maybe he develops with another coach or something. I don't know, or maybe they figure out something this year. I'm not saying it's impossible for him to learn. He did grow a lot as a leader. I will say that. He does seem like he cares more. That's good. But I was strongly against giving him his money. I would do live stream after live stream saying I would rather try something else. I get it. He's a good, amazing athlete. Just like AR5 is an amazing athlete, but Kyler's, he's almost too short to see over the line. He makes these comments that I can't explain, and I've been doing this 23 freaking plus years, bro, straight, professionally, and I can't make sense of what he says when he says that he throws to the receivers that his coach tells him to. I don't even know how to compute that statement. Because a quarterback goes through a progression tree. A quarterback has to impromptu a lot. A quarterback, checks down. There's so many unscripted things that a quarterback does. When somebody asks you, like Kyler was asked in a press conference last year, why aren't you throwing more to MHJ? And his answer is, sometimes my coaches tell me to throw to him. Sometimes my coaches don't have me throw to him. It depends. And I throw where my coaches have me throw. That didn't make sense to me. Like, what kind of offense is he running? Is this something we're going to find out later where he can't read a single defense? I don't know. It sounded wild to me, and no one talks about it. No one says that's a weird comment. No, everyone just moves on with their merry way. Look, he is a good athlete that can score massive amounts of fantasy points when he's on point, when he has the right offense, the right coach, the right play call. Do I have hope for MHJ? So if we take the Cardinals winning a Super Bowl out of it, because I don't see it with Kyler Murray. I just don't see it. Can Kyler help MHJ be a top 5 wide receiver? If things change, yeah. If for some reason the Cardinals' play calling is more conducive to getting mother freaking targets in the direction of MHJ, who doesn't drop footballs, one of the hardest working wide receivers in the league, one of the most underrated talents in the league. Why? Because he failed last year. Why did he fail? Not because of him. Failed because of the Cardinals, and he failed because of Kyler. But people are fickle, and people hold on to things, and they say, oh yeah, he's a big bust. He was never going to be. I told everyone he was overrated. He's not overrated. There's nothing wrong with MHJ. MHJ is still a top 5 wide receiver upside prospect. I can't stand when people don't know what in the hell they're talking about. It drives me nuts when someone says something stupid like MHJ was a bust. Now, do I think that Kyler can give him the ball? We got 50 gifted memberships by BBQ. Let me fix my damn alerts. Do I think that Kyler can somehow get BBQ? Can he get BBQ the ball? Can he get Kyler the ball? Or MHJ the ball? He might. Got him all over the place tonight. He might. Something's got to change, though. I'm not saying it can't, but you can't just rinse and repeat last year because that did not work. So what's going to happen this year? I don't know. Is it play calling? What are they going to change? Let's hope something. Let's hope something. Maybe they kind of like Miami Mike. What's he going to change without changing the entire staff? What's going to change? Well, they brought in They brought in Bobby Slowick into Miami. And so we do think that Tua and the offense, especially if Tua goes down, will be operated differently this coming season. So that's good change. I'm excited about that. That makes me feel a little better about Tyreek Hill. Makes me feel a lot better about Devon Achane in case something happens to Tua, or even when Tua's in there. So what are the Cardinals going to do that make me feel like there's a tangible thing that is going to change the direction of how MHJ is getting fed? Thank you again, BBQ, for dropping that. I do still think, my long-winded answer, bro, I do still think that MHJ at his cost of entry is worth it. I think the discount that MHJ is getting slapped with because of last year makes him low risk, high reward. I think in a worst case scenario, he gets you 8 touchdowns and 1,100 yards or whatever, and that's where his 3rd to 4th round value is. And if I can get him as my 4th drafted player, home run. So the good news is he's discounted, bro. He's discounted. That's the great news. The great news is you're not paying MHJ prices from last year. You're paying mother freaking almost 4th round value. That's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about MHJ next too. So, yeah.
All right, man.
But yeah, I appreciate it.
All right.
I'm just curious on your take on
all right, Nick. Hopefully something changes, bro. If it was me, you want to ask me if you gave me GM powers, bro? You know how I'd fix this situation right away? I would make a trade. I would go. I mean, first of all, I'd want Cam Ward or something, crazy. I'd go get Justin Fields. So I would take a drastic swing at in some other direction at least, because you're going down, bro. You might as well swing away while you're falling, because you're the head coach. Any staff member, you are falling backward, and there's in my opinion no way to not land on the ground. Like, just imagine my body falling back like this, and there's no way. My feet are in front of me. I have zero chance of eventually not falling down. I'm gonna swing while I'm falling, bro. So give me Justin Fields, trade Kyler Murray for something huge. Trade Kyler Murray for something huge. Go get Justin Fields. Go, do you think Kyler Murray, do you think you could get a pick that could get you Ashton Genty for Kyler Murray? Maybe, especially you start talking about other draft picks that could kind of make this go the way it needs to go, massage the trade. But if it's me, I signed Justin Fields. I got MHJ. I got Ashton Genty. Maybe you're trading Kyler away instead of for Ashton Genty. You're going and you're getting a 2nd rounder and some other defensive piece that makes your defense unstoppable. And then you draft Scattaboo or Hampton in round number. And I'm not saying Benson isn't good. I'm just saying, like, Genty, to me, I don't care who's Benson. I loved Benson last year, but that guy's holding Genty's water, if he's lucky. So that's just a difference maker. And you got McBride. This is a great situation, but sticking with Kyler is just a big mistake. All right, call back if you got another one, bro.
All right, appreciate it, Smitty.
Travis, then over to Michael from San Diego, then over to Justin. Go ahead, Travis.
So real quick on Kyler. Now, maybe the book is out on him and he really can't read defenses. Maybe he's a one-read guy and they can't fix that. But I still think what we discussed last year would be awesome is him in Minnesota. I think they could do something with him. Now, maybe they feel they can't, but if anyone can fix him, a Kevin O'Connell type might be able to. And when you're talking about making a trade, Minnesota's the 24th pick, so that would give the Cardinals 24 and 16, which they could easily pair those and move up.
Signassi's punching the air right now. Well, I mean, the thing about
I know.
I agree that it would be interesting, but I think with JJM on the roster, there's almost zero chance that they would even entertain something like that.
I don't think they'll do it.
But of the places
that could, take Tyler to the next level if it's possible.
Of the places that need QBs, though, and here's how much I'm saying. I'm falling, and I'm going to swing as big as I have to. Like, even AR5, like, I would take a gamble on AR5 over Kyler, just because I already know what Kyler is. Kyler's not leading you to a Super Bowl. And I'm not saying I want AR5 here necessarily. I'm just making. If the Raiders would definitely trade for Kyler, I think the Browns would potentially trade for Kyler. I could see the Steelers, kicking the tires on it. I could see the Jets looking into that for sure. I could see the Titans being open-minded to the conversation. I could see the New York Giants being thrilled about the idea of trading for Kyler Murray. And they've got the 3 pick. And maybe you do some creative, even if you're kicking back another future pick, whatever. I'm not saying it has to be the 3 for Kyler. I don't even know what Kyler's trade value is, to be honest, right now. The Saints would be interested in Kyler. Like you said, the Vikings would be an interesting place, but I don't think they'd be looking. Those are Seattle. I don't think Seattle, they seem to like Geno. I don't know why. But that would be a great place, I guess, to try him out. But it's interdivision, so it might not work. But I don't really care about that personally. But I don't know. The places that don't have Geno, even the places that have nobody, the Raiders, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, and what do we say over here? The Saints. Those are all places that I think they would overspend. And I know somebody's going to say, and this is what I've always said, this is my caveat as to why I don't want to trade Kyler at the end of the day, is what is the option? I mean, it's kind of like saying, the Pittsburgh Steelers make it to the playoffs every year, but they lose. Like, if you could trade your organization as a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, you wouldn't just trade it for any team. You wouldn't trade the Steelers as a fan for any team. You'd say, well, what am I replacing it with? I'd rather make it to the playoffs every single year, even if we lose in round 1, than be a team that never makes the playoffs. So you got to ask that same question. If I'm replacing Kyler, what am I getting? Am I getting a quarterback that's not going to even take me as far as Kyler? Then I don't want to do it. That's kind of why I've always been like, I don't know what the alternative is. But right now, walking into the draft, there's a lot of creative ways you could do stuff. And so number 3, Joe Milton. Like, you trade Kyler for a completely different, situation that has nothing to do with Joe Milton, and you trade for Joe Milton separately. Or, you take Milroe in the draft. And, the problem is if you do that and you trade Kyler later, the value of Kyler goes down significantly, just like Josh Rosen was, taken. What was he? He's 1 overall, right? Was he 1 or 3 by the Cardinals? He was 1. I think
Rosen?
Rosen.
I think he wasn't 1.
He was Ziggy. Where was Josh Rosen drafted in the NFL draft?
Maybe 10.
In the 2018 NFL draft, Josh Rosen was drafted 10
10. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I was thinking. So
Cardinals.
they took him 10, and then that next year, Kingsbury drafted Kyler Murray with balls. I give Kingsbury a lot of courage for that. He has massive steel balls to be doing that. And then, but once they did that, Rosen couldn't even be traded for a ham sandwich, and that was 1 year. He was entering his 2nd year. So you got to be careful not to make these moves after, because then Kyler has less trade value. But I'd trade Kyler away. I would rather bank on trying to build up some other quarterback. I love Joe Milton. I love Fields. Darnold would be. I don't know. I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl with Darnold. So I'd rather just go after swinging with Fields. But that would be me. That'd be me. All right, hang tight. Let me go right over to Michael. Michael, you're live.
Super chat from Calvin.
Hey, real quick, man. As a Titans fan, I'll take Kyler Murray off your hands ASAP.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because what do you have? Nothing. So Kyler Murray looks like gold to you. You want to just maybe breach the playoffs, like the Cardinals want to win playoff games. So yeah, we can send him right on over. But what are you going to give us? Do you think he's free? Because he's not free. Let's spitball it. What are you offering?
That kind of leads into my next question. I was going to ask you to put your GM hat on at the Titans. How would you handle this situation? I see a lot of rumors saying that we're going to trade that pick. So
quit while you're ahead.
What our options are.
Retire. Walk away from the game. I look. The Titans are. I never understood everybody's excitement last year. Titans are quietly building a squad, and I'm just thinking, what are you guys talking about?
No.
What do you no? But if I'm the Titans, bro, Cam Ward, I build around that. To trade out of that spot is a huge mistake. You're never gonna be. You're not just given the 1 pick, bro. Look how bad the Giants were last year. They're picking 3. Like, you never know what can happen. The Giants screwed themselves out of the number 1 overall pick, by the way, just winning that game.
I agree with you. I think it's just more so scary with the class being weak. I think that's more.
But is it weak? Is Cam Ward weak?
We missed.
Is Cam Ward weak, though? I don't know that he is. I think a lot of people, say that about this draft class. Oh, it's weaker, it's weak. So. I like Cam Ward a lot. I think Cam Ward's got a lot of upside. And at the end of the day, if you don't like him, then bring in Fields. Bring in Fields and tell Fields we're using the 1 pick. What do you want? You want Ted McMillan? You want Travis Hunter? We'll take Travis Hunter right now, Justin Fields. If you want Travis Hunter, you want to play wide receiver? Like, that's how you GM. These GMs, half the GMs in the NFL don't know what in the hell they're doing. They have no clue what they're doing. If you gave me Fields and honestly, who would I rather have? Genty. I would go to Fields and say, let's get Genty. Okay, let's go get Genty. Maybe we'll call up Chris Godwin. We'll bring Godwin in. We'll have Genty and we'll have you, Justin Fields. Dramatically different team. That's but how do GMs, how do coaches do it? Look at the Raiders last year. Look at Antonio Pearsall. I'll take over this team. What's he do at quarterback? Nothing. He doesn't even draft Joe Milton on a whim. He doesn't even take a stab at Rattler or anything. He just says, let's just go in with AOC, who didn't prove anything. He didn't prove enough. There's one moment where we thought AOC could be okay, but that time, that ship had already sailed. We knew that. So we walked into the draft, and Pierce sat on his hands like an absolute stooge. So what do the Titans do? Cam Ward or Fields and go get Genty, or Fields and go get Travis Hunter. I mean, those are the options.
I do kind of lean towards the veteran quarterback and getting abundance of pieces, because it's not that I don't believe in Cam Ward. I don't believe in what we have already. So I don't want a situation in where we take him and nothing comes of it because Calvin Ridley's our one. So that's kind of my concern.
Yeah, and I don't just go after a veteran. I hate that teams say we're going to go after a bridge court. Like, okay, just tell me that your season is going to blow. Tell the season ticket holders to hold off a year before they buy season tickets without telling them. Like, good God, man. I couldn't imagine playing for 2 years out. I just couldn't do it. Like, I would figure out ways. Like, right now, no matter what your hole is, what's your hole? Quarterback? Fields is available. What's your hole at RB? The draft is littered with amazing talents, Scattaboo and Dylan Sampson, who you're going to get well past these other guys. Like, and then you say wide receiver. Well, Godwin's there for the taking if you want him. And quite honestly, there are probably other wide receivers that you could get via trade, like DK right now, where you just need to push someone in the right direction. It sounds like Seattle's acting like they don't want to trade DK, but they're kind of saying, well, anybody gonna change our minds, or offer something? So you give me Cam Ward and DK, that's pretty damn good, bro. You give me Cam Ward and Genty you give me Fields, Genty, and DK. Like, why not? Why can't that be done?
See, that sounds more appealing. I don't know how much asset we have if we draft Cam Ward. But going for like a Fields combo with Cam, adding DK sounds amazing.
Fields, Genty, and DK. That would be a team that I could build around, and maybe we don't win a championship or even a playoff game the second year, but we're fighting for it like the Lions were the year prior. I swear to you, I would burn a franchise to the ground, quite possibly. But there's just as much of a chance I will win a Super Bowl within 2 or 3 calendar years. Why GMs don't get aggressive and go after some of these cheap talents that are clear as day solid players? I have no idea. I have no idea. Joe Milton, I don't know why someone, maybe they will, because obviously the new league year hasn't started yet. But the buzz is not super high on him. Why would a team like the Raiders not say, you know what? Joe Milton looks like him, because people are scared. GMs are scared. If he's not thought of as a top 10 QB by other GMs, then I'm not going to think it either. That's what this league's full of. GMs that are scared Scotties.
Yeah, but then you end up losing your job anyway because you don't make anything happen. So what's the point?
Yeah. So Antonio Pierce didn't do anything crazy, and he was out of a job anyway. Exactly. Like I said, the Cardinals situation, you're falling backward. There's zero chance you're going to stand upright. You are falling backward. Swing away, Merrill. Just swing for something grand. If you hit a home run and then hit the ground, someone will pick you back up and you'll get another chance. You hit the ground without hitting that home run, you're already going to hit the ground no matter what. You're already hitting the ground. You're literally like this. You're almost parallel with the ground right now if you're in the Arizona Cardinals spot. You're that way. Antonio Pierce is that way as soon as the draft ended. when he shit the bed and didn't get Penix Jr., Knicks, or JJM or anybody. He was like, okay, you're up at pick 13 and the whole place is empty. Like, oh, the quarterback room is empty. Shit. I did not expect that. And my name's Antonio Pierce, and I'm already on a short. My leash has already been yanked. All right, Michael, hold on. Mute yourself if you could. Let me go over to Justin. Justin, you're live.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, so this is an understanding thing. This is not me necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with your standpoint. When you say the hype is getting out of control with Ricky Pearsall, what do you necessarily mean? Can you expound on that point?
Because every time his name gets mentioned, Ricky to the moon, Ricky's going to the moon, he's gonna be, Ricky season, Ricky this, Ricky that. I think Ricky goes up in value. Sometimes people overuse the go to the moon on this channel or whatever just to signify their values going up, and so that's cool too. But Ricky Pearsall has a lot to prove. He's essentially still going to go through what I would consider like half of a rookie year. There's still a lot there's a lot of developing that needs to happen. He was shot, he was on the field, and there's a lot he needs to learn. And, Shanahan with younger wide receivers, they get doghouse sometimes. He's not safe from that. He's not even necessarily the number 2 wide receiver come mid-season. He might be the 3rd option on the team come midseason if IU can get his crap together. And when you talk about what is the option-wise on the team, number 1 option on the team's probably George Kittle, then probably Jennings, then probably Christian McCaffrey if he's healthy, then probably Ricky Pearsall initially, but then Ayuk's going to be fighting for that spot. He's getting paid to fight for that spot. He's getting paid to be in that spot. So Ricky Pearsall, to me, from a quarterback that proved he does not deserve $60 million a year, even though he's about to get $60 million a year. I like Brock Purdy. He's a good quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback on any level. I think he was an elite-looking, developing quarterback during a year where Christian McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, and this entire defense and everything was firing on all cylinders. It was like the way, in some cases, some of the Eagle players look right now, or the way Sirianni looks right now. We all know Sirianni was on the hot seat, and now he looks like the best coach in the league because he's surrounded by all this talent, which he put together. So he gets kudos for that. But I'm just saying, you take Brock Purdy out of that environment that he was relishing in. And we did. We didn't, but he got taken out of it last year and he turned into a pumpkin. I'm not saying Brock Purdy can't be as good as Goff if he's surrounded again with enough talent. Goff's a top 7 to 12 quarterback. But that's people laugh at me when I say that. Like Niner fans are like, Goff, Brock Purdy's better than Goff. He's not. Brock Purdy's not better than Goff. Goff and Brock Purdy are probably equals if they're both in the right situation. If Goff or Brock Purdy are in bad situations, they're not great quarterbacks. They go from really good quarterbacks in great situations to mediocre quarterbacks in mediocre situations. They need to be elevated. There's a reason. I'm not saying Tom Brady, Kurt Warner. We go over this all the time. I'm not saying there aren't diamonds in the rough and players that get overlooked, but he was the last pick in the draft because there was a lot to be desired. He landed in the most ideal situation, and I like him. And he, to give him credit, he's one of the quickest learners I've seen. When he went into the lineup, he knew the playbook front and back from day one. he's also got a really good pocket presence. Probably one of the better pocket presence type skill sets I've seen in the National Football League in a while. He knows where to float around inside it. Problem is that pocket is looking pretty brutal right now. And Trent Williams, I doubt he stays healthy this year, bro. This is going to be a collapsing environment. I'm not high on the Niners right now.
Okay, what ADP do you think Ricky Pearsall should be at? And are you, like, I know you spoke a lot about what the community is saying about Ricky Pearsall, like the to the movement. Is it just the community's catchphrases and stuff?
Well, I don't say he's in a void. I don't say he's in a void. I just say pump the brakes on it. Like, you know, people are getting, when everyone's like, oh, Ricky to the moon after Debo got traded, I'm just saying pump the brakes on it. Jennings is going at wide receiver 70. Or, I'm sorry, not 70. Wide receiver 38 at 70 overall. Jennings is going at 70 overall. Ayuk is going 75. Ricky Pearsall is going 78. So they're all tightly, you know, tight together. Why is Jennings and Pearsall, you know, 2 or 3 wide receiver spots apart, or 4 or whatever? It's fluctuating on the data. I just think that Ricky should be further than that. But you start getting into like would I rather have Darnell Mooney than Ricky Pearsall? Like that's where, you know, and that's what, like about 100 overall is about where I think we're having that conversation. I think that's an appropriate place. And I'm not even saying that Ricky Pearsall's ADP at like 78, 80 is that out of pocket. I'm merely warning people not to rise it up. Like this is still kind of lingering from almost pre-Debo Samuel trade. Like this ADP is not really fully updated from where I think the expectations now might be for Ricky. So I don't have a problem with his current 80-ish overall ADP. I think of him probably around 95, 100 overall, which is fine. And again, that's around like a Shaheed. And I think there's nothing wrong with wanting Matthew Golden, the rookie wide receiver, the fastest rookie wide receiver, having him over Pearsall, or having Cooper Kupp over Pearsall if he went to a really good spot, or having Jalen McMillan, the sophomore standout wide receiver in Tampa Bay, who may or may not be the number 2 wide receiver in Tampa Bay. We'll see. Ricky Pearsall has got a higher ADP than Jalen McMillan, and I don't think that I would ever consider taking Ricky over Jalen. But that's perfect right now. I'm fine with that. But when everyone's saying to the moon now, that means he's supposed to rise from this ADP, and I'm telling people don't bring him up above Jennings, who is only 4 or 5 wide receiver spots above him anyway. Now, maybe they both rise together, but you're telling me Godwin, look, and even Debo, Godwin, Debo, Jaden Reed, Jennings, Luther Burden, Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk, Egbuka, Pearsall, Shakir. That's where that grouping is. I just think that I don't think he's deserving of being above those guys. Below him, sure, keep him there.
That's fair. Like, I just wanted to ask because, like, when someone says something, you want to kind of understand, like, the full scope of their opinion because, you know, you just want to understand where people are coming from.
I mean, what did Pearsall didn't play a lot. I like that's part of the concern, right? But he had 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, it's not like he had this unbelievable, you know, rookie season or something. The only reason people are getting overly excited is because of the target share. But what's the target share really with Kittle, with Christian McCaffrey, with Jennings, with an Ayuk coming back? What is the target share? Dare I say that if Ricky Pearsall got drafted into this situation on draft day, the thinking would be, crowded environment. I don't know why everyone's looking at this any differently. Just because we're doing a subtraction game of Debo Samuel doesn't mean that this situation is not crowded as hell. It's crowded as can be over in San Francisco with the quarterback that's coming off a very disappointing season that's about to get paid $60 million per year and have a heavy crown on top of his head that is going to potentially be weighing him down and pressuring him. And I don't know, last time the Niners overpaid for players, Trey Lance didn't work out well. Brandon Ayuk overpaid monetarily, didn't work out well. Now you're about to give the last pick in the draft $60 million per year. Doesn't feel like the best plan of attack, if you ask me.
Yeah, so when we talk about, like, the target competition and stuff like that, those guys, Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, were there when like Ayuk and Debo were productive. So that would probably be like the pushback people would give you on that. Now, I would say that like between Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings, they all feel kind of coin flip-ish. Like Jawan Jennings wasn't really productive till this past year. I agree with everything you said about Ricky Pearsall. There's a lot of developing that has to be done there. Ayuk, you don't want to be reactionary to last year, but like last year was really, really bad.
Okay, but
it just didn't look good.
But real quickly, just going back to your statement a second ago, and real quickly, Calvin Krim says, "Hey Smitty, here's a list of successful coaches without a Super Bowl: O'Connell, McDermott, LaFleur, Campbell, Harbaugh, Shanahan. Who on this list is holding their team back from winning one?" Obviously, Kyle Shanahan is holding his team back.
I wonder about McDermott.
Yeah, McDermott's getting in the conversation.
The roster construction of McDermott.
Yeah, I would say the commitment level of trying to make it better. That definitely is a problem. Shanahan and McDermott. So that probably, it's a good question, Calvin. And Calvin to the moon with the super chat. Calvin with a $10 hauler that gets a Mars.
To Mars.
Calvin, you still there? Calvin, what do you think? But yeah, I think Travis is right. McDermott's starting to become questionable to the same tune that Shanahan is. You can give McDermott so much credit and say, well, look what they're doing every year. Just like people do with Shanahan. Like, oh, but they make it to the champion. Yeah. And there is something to that, but there's also something to where he's literally letting it unravel every single time at the end. You could keep saying to a different degree, weighted differently on a different spectrum. What about Tomlin? Winning season. Yeah, but so there's these these caveats at the end. But hey, what I was going to say to your point when you said you're trying to, what your argument was, and you're saying a lot of other people would argue this at least, is that because Debo and Ayuk were ultra productive with Christian McCaffrey and Kittle exploding, that you think Pearsall should be, or some people would be saying Pearsall should be able to slip into that same crowded environment and explode. Problem is, bro, they were all there last year. So last year you had an opportunity to show that it was still that same place. It's not. With Trent Williams getting older, with Christian McCaffrey getting older, they're the two pieces of glue that hold this entire puzzle piece together. Christian McCaffrey falling off and becoming older, having bilateral chronic Achilles tendonitis, probably will never be the same player again. Trent Williams helping Brock Purdy look so solid. Those two big puzzle pieces off the board made Debo, Ayuk, George Kittle did great. The entire team, minus the run game when they implemented it right, and then George Kittle, the entire team was two-dimensional. So to sit here and say, well, now that Debo's gone, I can envision Pearsall playing the same role that Debo or Ayuk played. That would be the case. That would be a strong argument if you had 2024 to show me that is still in existence. That environment does not look to be in existence anymore. Not to mention that you can't just say, oh, the target share will make Pearsall that good. He's got to be that player. And I know a lot of people, especially Niner fans, they want him to be. He hasn't proven anything. He's had 2 solid games in his entire career. I know he only had 1 year, but he's had 2 solid games. It's a little bit putting the cart before the horse, way before the horse, to be suggesting that he's going to be an elite player with two solid games under his belt. Like 2 solid games at the end of the year when teams are not necessarily fighting. Who were the matchups even? It was the Cardinals and the Lions. I mean, I don't even know. I'm thinking back on the vibe in those games. The final 2 games, he had 10 targets for 8 receptions and 141 yards and a touchdown in that Week 17 game against the Lions, which they lost and were throwing from behind. And then you have that final Cardinal matchup, 6 receptions for 69 and a touch. He had 2 very strong games to finish the year. But that's it. That's all he did. I mean, there was the one game a week. What was it? It was the Bucs, right? 70 yards and a touch. Three games I can't send him to the moon on 3 games, especially when Ayuk was out. Debo was banged up. I know Debo played at the end of the season too, but they were also showcasing Debo. It was just a weird situation. They took out Jordan Mason, so they didn't even have their star running back there because he didn't want to play Jordan Mason because he wanted to not have a team slap an offer on him that the Niners couldn't match because he's a restricted free agent. So Shanahan was playing all kinds of weird games in week 17 and week 18. So it's like, I just can't. All I'm telling people is be careful. All right, I got to move on from this topic. Be careful rising Ricky Pearsall up anymore. All right, hold on, Justin, you can mute yourself and come back in a second. John, you're live. Then back over to Travis.
I just want to add, Ricky Pearsall was a 5-year starter in college, 3 at Arizona, 2 at Florida, never eclipsed more than 5 TDs his entire college career, and never had a 1,000-yard season. So, I don't know. Sure, he could be good. He had a couple good games. You want to take him for a 3rd-round pick in Dynasty, take him for a late-rounder in redraft, go at it. Something could happen, but they have an aging roster entirely. CMC done, gone, and you just have a whole bunch of question marks. I wouldn't want to really invest in a bunch of question marks. So that's that. My question is, based off the combine and all the numbers coming through for all the RBs, wide receivers, have any of the RBs numbers solely based on the combine given you any confidence to trade down if you have a top 5 pick in Dynasty this year?
Well, I think Hampton had a good combine. I misspoke on like I said on the Dynasty show last night. I was trying to say Caleb Johnson. I've been doing so many shows and going 100 miles an hour that sometimes I'll say the wrong player once or twice a show when I'm talking about somebody. I'm trying to do better about hearing myself say it. But I think I was trying to say Caleb had a bad, disappointing combine, and I think it said Hampton. And 2 people in the comments were like, "How dare you talk about Hampton? Hampton had a great." I know we talk about Hampton all the time. We like Hampton. We did a Dynasty show last night. Here's the rankings and conversation that we had on the Dynasty channel. Go check it out. We talk about Hampton in a positive light all the time. So I misspoke. My bad. I didn't mean to say it. So Hampton had a nice improved combine. Or improved value from the combine. I think Scadaboo's vert. I know he didn't do much at all, but the vert was unbelievable. I think that's going to be interesting to teams and to say we've already seen the film on the kid, and not to mention the combine isn't the end all be all. It's pro days. They're going to have other workouts, and so everyone acting like Scadaboo not wanting. Look, players now say I'm not going to do work at the combine because I'm too big for it. It's like a rite of passage to be considering yourself a top 2, 3, 4 overall player. But I think there's more to come. I don't think almost judging the combine is like coming in and saying, "Hey, what do you think about this running back mid-season in their last college football season?" Let's wait until they play the entire season before we really, start planting flags. You know what I mean? So to suggest the combine's going to dictate draft spot more than workouts will, let's just see what happens with those. But I definitely think Hampton increased some value. I think Caleb Johnson took a dump, as I said. And again, I must have said Hampton on accident when I was trying to say that the other night. Caleb Johnson didn't have a good combine in my eyes. So I think that hurt him, if you want to say whose stock went down. But I definitely think, you look at the rookie running backs right here from the Dynasty show, Judkins looked pretty solid too. I think he's increased his value. Even the chatter about him, even during the combine processing week, has increased his value. So Judkins has climbed maybe as much as Hampton's climbed in some people's eyes. So landing spot is king. This is why on the Dynasty channel, if you go watch this video, link in the description, this right here, number 1, tier break. I don't care what happens. I don't care what kind of work. I don't care if he doesn't even do a single workout. Tier break. And I don't care about MHJ not living up to the hype. It has nothing to do with it. People are so scared. They're scared Scotty's all right, MHJ didn't work out, so I'm not going to draft Genty. It's completely different. They have nothing to do with each other. Genty, tier break. Landing spot could make Henderson fall to 5. Landing spot could make Judkins go to 2. Landing spot could make Hampton and Scadaboo tie for second and Hendy drop to below Caleb Johnson. it's unfortunate that we don't have a good handle on this right now. It's okay. It's part of the process. These guys are so close in talent. It's just the way it is that landing spot is king. Landing spot has more to do with how they did at the combine. The only one that really hurt themselves bad was Caleb Johnson. Everybody else, nothing happened other than Hampton got a nice bump in a lot of GM's minds, and Judkins and Scatterbo a little bit of bump.
Has the kid out of Virginia Tech, the Pearsall shooting dude, whatever the guy's name is, ran a 4.3, something like that. Somewhat decent numbers, doesn't really pop off the tape. Did that dude go up in your mind, or no? Does he go up your rankings after his performance?
Maybe a team sees him a little different, sure, but I don't think he climbs the board in a consensus manner.
And
like special teams.
And last question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Like he'll some team could take him as their backup. Yeah, and he could climb. I'm not trying to say he can't be the diamond in the rough. Again, Arian Foster was not drafted. You know, he was an undrafted free agent. Always remember, Arian Foster, undrafted free agent. Tom Brady, late in the draft. Kurt Warner, not drafted. Kurt Warner brought on a team and then kicked off the team and then came back onto a team, and his own offensive coordinator didn't even want to start him when Trent Green went down, and Dick Vermeil said, I don't care what you think, OC. Put him in the lineup in week number 1. Let's see what he does. So, like, we don't really... And then Bucky. Bucky was a good prospect. He's an even 10,000 times better pro. These things unfold and mature and happen, and so there's definitely not a cemented in answer for anything at this point. We always have to keep that in mind in general. Even if I say I don't like somebody, like at the end of the day, bro, anything can change. And we shouldn't feel bad about that. That's fantasy football. It's how quickly you adjust and adapt when maybe you do miss something. And just because we're ahead of the curve on so many things, there will be stuff where, let's catch up on this one. We're still going to be ahead of most people on it anyways. So what if we weren't first on this one, but we were damn close to being first to react? That's the way I operate.
And then the last question would be, if we had as many good wide receivers in this year's rookie draft as there are RBs, would you be more inclined to trade down in Dynasty if they were putting up like otherworldly 1,000-yard seasons?
Trade down in a rookie draft?
Without knowing the landing spot.
Trade down in a rookie draft? Is that what you're asking?
Like in a dynasty draft, for example, if they had, there's like 8 possible starting RBs coming out of the draft. Like if you put them on any team, they'd start.
So what I'm asking is trade down in a rookie draft.
Yeah. Well, no, like would you in dynasty in general? Would you trade down?
I don't trade down.
Top 5 pick. Would you trade down?
Do I look like an a-hole?
Hypothetically,
I don't trade
hypothetically speaking, if instead of the RBs there were as many wide receivers, like there's 6 or 7 of them, even more than last year. Put Ladd McConkey ranging in like Ladd McConkey range. Would you still trade down? Or no?
Scared money don't.
We'll wait till the draft, see how it works out.
Scared money don't make money. I don't trade down. I do trade down if there's a grand scheme at play. Like maybe I want to have Breece Hall. Let me just put this in perspective from a dynasty startup draft. If I could get Breece Hall, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, JD5, and JSN all like in the 3rd round, and I just move all my. I've done the draft pick trading as an example. Draft pick trading, move everything to round 3. I love this plan of attack. Let's try it out. I'm crazy. I do that stuff, but like almost never will I just trade down. Give me Jamar Chase. Give me Malik Neighbors. I don't even need to trade down from 4 to 7 to get Neighbors if I'm drafting in a dynasty startup. I'll just take Neighbors at 4. I just rarely ever trade down. I think trading down, to be honest with you, bro, no offense if this is you 9 times out of 10 or anything, you could be the exception to the rule that I'm not saying it about you. But in general, people that trade down are indecisive and they don't know what they want. So they want their options to be narrowed down for them. Like, I'll just take the 4th. There's 4 good running backs. Just give me the 4th pick because I'll just take whoever's left. I'd rather not play. I'd rather auto draft my team Then let someone else dictate who I get to pick. I just don't. In general, I'm not a big trade down artist, but I can do it, and I can cook up good draft pick trading, strategies. But that's kind of the way my mind operates. So no, I go after the talent, baby. I don't wait and hope it works out. That's why I get so. That's why I get so mad at like the Raiders. What?
Even if it was for future picks, I think you misunderstood the question. It wasn't for like a brand new Dynasty league. It was like for an annual rookie draft.
But that's what I asked you. That's what I asked you. I said, is it a rookie draft? And you said no, in general. So I don't think you're being clear about it. That's what I'm saying. In a rookie draft, I do not trade down in a rookie draft. And like, would I trade the pick? Would I trade the 6 overall pick for what I project to be somebody's 2026 first rounder that I think is going to be number 1 overall? That's also trading up. Would I trade the number 6 overall pick away to get JSN, or the 5 overall pick to get JSN? To me, that's I'm leveling up, So my point is, I don't ever trade down. Like, hey, I'll give you the 2.1 and the 1.11 for the 1.7. It's like, I don't give a shit what you're going to give me. Hey, Smitty, I'll give you the 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 1.10, 1.11, 1.12 for the 1.1. Go kick rocks. I'm drafting Genty at 1.1. I don't want your 4 through 12. That's me, baby.
Appreciate it, Smitty. I apologize for not being more clear.
You don't have to apologize. Hey, you don't ever apologize for being you, John. Okay? You bring it the way you see it, and that's that. I appreciate you. Later. Apologize. All right. Back to Travis, then over to Michael again, then over to Justin. Go ahead, Travis.
Hey, sorry, I'm on mute. Yeah, I was just gonna say, with Godwin, like, do you think there's a chance is he gonna go see what he can get on the open market? Do you think? Or do you think they'll get something done beforehand?
I think we're in flux here at this current moment in time. We're at a very, very tough point to know what direction it's going to go. I think so. Godwin moved the void date of the contract void down to
Someone is at the front door.
Let's see here. He moved the contract date down to the start of the league year. That way they could work out a long-term deal. And Aaron Jones did the same thing for the Vikings. That move by itself shows that Godwin wants to let's see, hold on one second. Make sure the door isn't locked. I just had to send a message. Okay. That right there makes me think Godwin's trying to stay and the team's trying to keep him as well. The thing that we don't know is how much dilly-dallying and how much offensive contract negotiations or verbal diarrhea the Bucs may have or may not have spilled in the direction of Godwin since that time and now. And so we're kind of like in flux to know. And same thing with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones might think he's the God's gift to the running back room. So we just don't know where these negotiations are. But that sentiment of saying Godwin saying, hey, you know what? I'll move the void date to a little further back so we can try to figure it out. That makes me think he wants to stay. But like I said today, the 90% chance that Godwin stays in Tampa Bay 2 days ago changes to I'm just throwing arbitrary numbers out, but 79% now, because now Godwin becomes king of free agency. And now it's like this guy's got the spotlight on him. He, and the Bucs might have just shit on him with a bad offer, and he's like, well, you know what? The spotlight's on me. Well, see you guys. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know.
If he takes it, if he decides that they're not giving him, at least $30 million a year with what contracts are now, he's going to go out there, and a team like the Patriots that are admittedly desperate, they need to get someone in there, and they have the money to spend.
Well,
if they offer him 32, 33, 34, and another team starts offering him, Tampa may say, no, we're not going to match that. We have McMillan. We're fine. Move on,
Yeah, and the other thing too is like, as I said, look at the contract that Stafford signed reportedly with the Rams. is a lot less money. They said substantially less money than the offer that the Giants had in place with the trade offer ready to go. And he turned down that money in that location for less money. The team, my point is the team that wants to acquire a player, even in free agency or trade, is willing to overpay than the team trying to retain the player with accounting, with trying to dot I's and cross T's and keep everything balanced in the checkbook. Right. They're like, okay, let's see. Well, the other team's like, whoa, here's a blank check, we'll figure it out. And typically teams that are on the search they have more cap space. There's a lot of reasons for it, but Godwin's probably going to get a much higher offer from New England. So if Tampa wants to keep him, they need to keep him from leaving and having these dinner dates with these other teams, similar to how Kirk Cousins was just going to kind of flirt. And then he left and never came back. And went to get ice and never came back. So Godwin, the longer this, but this is something we could hear right away. And it's like, Godwin and the Bucs are gonna be good to go. So who knows? If Godwin gets raptured from the free agent pool, then Davante Adams, who is going to be released in around 2 days' time, Davante Adams becomes the number one free agent, followed by Amari Cooper at the wide receiver position. Diggs coming back from an ACL tear, not even intrigued by that.
That was the other thing I was going to say real quick was I think either way, Davante Adams is going to have a pretty big market, and I think he'd be kind of foolish to just follow Aaron Rodgers wherever he goes. If it works out, fine. But, there's going to be maybe 7, 8, 9 teams that would be willing to pay, especially if he's willing to take like a 2-year deal or something like that.
Yeah.
If he is willing to take something. People will overpay because he's still got something in the tank, even if, like you said last night, it may not be that 1,200-1,300 yard year, but there's something still there. He can still run routes, and sure he can still produce.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, this is just my psychology at play. It has nothing to do with any reports. I would think, and I said this last night, I would think that Adams is saying to himself, I went to Las Vegas from Green Bay for Derek Carr. Not Derek Carr didn't make him do it, but he went because of the quarterback. He went to New York because of Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback. Neither of those worked out. This is his last attempt. He kind of probably feels foolish. He probably feels like a follow the leader type of guy at this point. And I think this move will be about him. I don't think it'll have anything to do with ties to anybody. I think it's going to be one of those things where, he breaks up and decides to move out of state and start a whole new life by himself and see who he find himself. That's just the way that I believe he will approach this third attempt. I don't think he's going to rinse and repeat this.
Sure.
But like you said, it could be a natural fit or something like that. But, I think Rodgers being a high likelihood person to fall into the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, I keep hearing Tennessee Titans, but why on earth would he want to go there? I don't know. Maybe just to play one more year, but if he doesn't have any other options, but I don't know why else you'd want to go there. But I don't know that Adams would go back to LV. Crazier things have happened, but I don't think he'll want that. I think he'll say no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go. Not only it was a holy hell there, but if he goes there and Rodgers gets hurt again, like even out of his control, and then he's stuck there again, he's just going to want to put his head through a wall. So I think he's going to want to go somewhere like Baltimore. I think the teams that I pegged for Debo initially are good spots for Davante Adams because this entire team across the top needs a quarterback. You had mentioned Davante Adams to Denver, I think, last night. That's a great landing spot. Houston's going to need a wide receiver at that level. And Stroud, everybody, in the NFL seems to love Stroud from a quarterback perspective. Even though he failed last year, everyone still knows he's a talent. Buffalo going and getting Adams. That's kind of a unique one because maybe, that makes us believe that they do want to try and win. And it's a short commitment, so it's not like they're having to, pay the piper and commit to somebody for a long contract. And then Baltimore. Baltimore feels like this quietly sneaky team that a lot of players are going to want to go, free agents are going to want to go play football in Baltimore because they're doubted, they're underdogs. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, just gritty. Like it feels like a place to go win a Super Bowl. You know, and I'm not saying they will, but Adams
that might be a tough spot for Adams. He won't get the ball enough.
Yeah, look, Lamar does not produce top 25. Well, we could say for sure top 20 receivers. And this would be no different. Like he would be a 808, 807 probably type of guy. But from a football perspective, it is a good spot.
Right.
So, and
how much does he want to ring?
Yeah, how much does he want to run around 1,400 yards? You know, he doesn't want a 1,400 yard, workload. I think he does want to play for a place like that. So Adams in one of those spots makes a lot of sense. Those are where I thought. Well, to be fair, we threw Washington into the mix as well when we were saying these 4 spots and then Washington is what we kind of finished with as the 5 landing spots for Debo, and he went to Washington. So these 4 seem again Davante Adams, and then probably Pittsburgh's in the mix a little bit. I think they could be in the cards, but as a free agent, I think Pittsburgh could be in the mix. I don't know about going back to Green Bay. People have kicked that around. It's possible.
Do you think it has to be a team that he can win a ring with, or do you think if a team like the Patriots or someone else, that are rebuilding?
I think San Francisco. I think San Francisco's a sleeper for Davante Adams.
Yeah.
I think then that's another reason, like Pretty Ricky, everyone gonna get kicked in the sack there if that happens. But yeah, I mean San Francisco definitely, I think would be interested in Davante Adams, and I don't think he's gonna look. Shanahan is fighting for his life a little more than people realize. I think everyone's saying he's safe. Nothing could happen to him. He continues to win. Like I don't know, man. You have a couple bad years in a row. Anything can happen. You can win a Super Bowl.
Did you say Buffalo?
Yeah, this entire top row: Denver, Houston, Buffalo, Baltimore.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah,
and then I think San Francisco and Pittsburgh. If I had to say, those are probably the most likely landing spots. But yeah, I think definitely the Niners are. I think Shanahan is looking to do something different, but. That would be different. That would be kind of ballsy. Cowboys are interesting, Daryl. I that's also one that gets kicked around once in a while. And I don't dislike that one. And the thing is,
predict what the Cowboys are doing.
The thing is, so like for anybody expecting like CeeDee Lamb to tank in value if that happens, like think about what the wide receiver 2 is going to do in Dallas with Dak healthy, 906 or 7. I mean, that's all Adams is going to do probably. So he's only going to help CeeDee Lamb be more efficient. I would not be worried about CeeDee Lamb if Adams fell on the roster personally. I'd almost like it because it probably moved Lamb down to like 10 overall. You'd probably get a discount on Lamb. You're already getting a discount on Lamb. Lamb's going like 7, 8 overall, which is criminal. He should be going like 2 or 3. So Lamb going at 10, 11, 12. If I could get Lamb at the bookend, get Lamb and Genty at 12 and 13, I'm loving the 12 pick. So, send Adams to Dallas, and I hope that people freak out. Because Adams is only going to get you what the receiver in Dallas is going to get anyway from that 2 spot.
Yeah, so the year that CeeDee Lamb had the 1,700 yards, Ferguson was the second leading receiver with 761.
Yeah.
He took 657. So, yeah, you're probably right on with that.
Yeah, Adams. I mean, as much as I like Adams, he's at that age where it's just probably not going to be 1,110. It's just not. It doesn't feel like it. Is there a possibility? I mean, sure. If my life was on the line, I probably wouldn't make that my bet. That Adams wouldn't get 1,000 yards and 10, but I think if you said, okay, your life's on the line, you got to be within 2 touchdowns, you have to be within 200 yards. My number would be 850 and 6. So that means you could get 8 So that would be my guess. If I had to be within 200 yards on either side and within 2 touchdowns. All right. Let me go. Justin, anything else? I'm going to probably get out of here, boys. I'll potentially be back tonight. So if not anything, just for a Dynasty stream. But I'll try and come back on the main channel. But Justin, any final thoughts?
Can you rank 5 running backs for me? You don't have to like go in a long diatribe about them if you don't want to. But
right.
Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Breece Hall, Chase Brown, and Kyren Williams.
Kyren, Bucky, Chase Brown. Okay. I'd probably say this is what gets crazy is because when I draft JT ahead of these guys because the ADP commands it and I'm like sitting there at 14 and 15 and I took a receiver in round 1 and I want balance and I'm not loving the receivers and I go JT. I always kind of wished I didn't. So I'm gonna rank this in terms of how I project them to finish, not how I would suggest you rank them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The ADP
so
value.
you want the ADP value?
No, I'm saying like how much.
Yeah.
Not fantasy value. Just
okay.
How much do you like the guy?
Yeah.
Like,
so I like cost of entry. So this is cost of entry, just so we aren't confused. Ranking. Cost of entry ranking on these guys. I'm gonna say Kyren 1 because he's so entrenched in the third round right now. Breece Hall 2 because he's also a lot of times in round 2 or round 3. He's sometimes in 2 now. Bucky because he's now at the 2-3 turn. I'm gonna say Chase Brown's going in like sometimes he goes in 4, and I like that. But I still think these are guys I rank more. So I'm going to say Chase Brown 4 and JT 5. JT's cost of entry is high. It's not that he can't earn it, but he's not like a super great value. He's just he probably can earn you what you pay if he stays healthy. All right, bro. Call in the night, bro. Later.
All right, appreciate you. Have a good night.
Michael, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, I guess we can expound on the running back. I don't want to say how much do you like Bucky. I acquired Bucky recently in a Dynasty trade. I sent Josh Jacobs, so I'm pretty happy, but I'm not too excited about next season in terms of I don't know if he's going to retain his value at RB 6-7. That's kind of where I'm skeptical. Do you think that's a solid ranking for him, or should I sell higher?
His ADP right now, though, is not RB 6-7. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 10. So yeah,
Okay,
I love him at 10. His ceiling is top 5. His floor feels like 12. So if you're grabbing him at running back 10, your worst case scenario, he doesn't earn his value, but by only a little bit of he misses it by just a hair. I mean, he could have a disappointing sharing season that we're like, damn it, why doesn't he get more? And he gets you running back 12 numbers.
I guess what I'm worried about is his long-term value. We've seen running backs come and go who come in day 3, day 4. I think Damian Pierce, for example, guys like that. I'm just kind of worried that his season's not going to be what everyone thinks it is. He's just going to plummet.
Yeah, but the thing you got, and this is just me trying to make you a better fantasy player, is the thing you got to worry about is don't worry about what other players have done. Don't worry about Damian Pierce has nothing to do with this. How do you feel about Bucky Irving? If you doubt Bucky Irving, then yeah, your mind it's going in that direction. But you start playing games around, I'm not going to like this because of this. You're just trying to break up with Bucky before he breaks up with you. Like you gotta really make sure. Do you think Bucky's special? Is he different than Damian Pierce?
I don't think he's special. What I like about Bucky the most is his situation.
Then that's where the doubts derive from. And I disagree with you, but you probably would rather go get a player that you believe in the talent. Now you're in the wrong room to be doubting Bucky because this is a Bucky country, but. For your own ranking, if you doubt Bucky, don't blame it on Damian Pierce. Don't use other examples of RBs dropping off. Just be honest with yourself about what you think Bucky is. Is he the next elite player? You just gotta ask yourself that. But it sounds like, I can tell from the jump that you don't like Bucky because you're like, I want to make it
clear, it's not that I don't like Bucky. It's not that I don't like
you
Bucky,
can't. You can't.
If he's being ranked next to Breece Hall,
you can't put.
Taylor,
You can't put one foot in the door. You can't put one foot in the door and one foot out the door on this one. If you don't like Bucky at 10. If you don't love Bucky at 10, then you kind of are I don't like Bucky like everyone.
No,
else.
I think you might have misheard me. I said I acquired him in a dynasty trade, and I won the trade. I sent Josh Jacobs for Bucky Irving plus. I won the trade easily. My point was him being ranked around those guys. To me, it's like, should I add a second and get Breece Hall? To me, that just feels a lot safer. That's all I meant.
Well, I do like Breece a little bit more than Bucky, but Bucky and Breece are right there.
Yeah.
I think Breece is going to be a bounce back this year. He just needs the volume. That's
okay,
all.
So in Dynasty, do you add a second to Bucky to upgrade to Breece?
Sure, but at the same time, if I got two leagues side by side, I want Bucky in one and Breece in the other. I wouldn't double up. I wouldn't double dip on it. That's how much I like Bucky. He's literally almost like interchangeable.
Yeah.
But
fair enough.
All right, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, later. I do love, and I appreciate him. I'm not trying to rip on Michael or anything, but I love when people try and say, "No, I like him." No, you don't. You don't. You don't, or you wouldn't be like. Not only did he think he was running back 5, and then I told him no, his ADP is running back 10. Now in Dynasty, it's a little bit different. Maybe like I'd say 8, maybe 8 or 9. But it's not that far off from the redraft value. Why? Because you've got all these RBs that are young that are populating that top 10, except for Henry and like Christian McCaffrey. But then you've got rookies and other players that slip in. But Bucky, you can't, if you say he's in redraft he's a running back 10, and you say something like Oh, really? Okay, that's a value, and then you still have a problem with it. Then that means you don't want the running. You're looking for me to validate your concerns and say, yeah, I'd trade Bucky away in Dynasty. And then he's like, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Like, you called in with an agenda, and that's okay. That's your take. I'm not mad at your take. I don't agree with your take, Bucky. I don't agree at all.
Get Buckied. Buckied.
Bucky? I mean, we take Bucky Bass over here. You think I'm going to agree with that take? No. All right, Travis, final thoughts.
No, I'm all set. I'll talk to you later.
All right, we'll be back.
Bye.
Appreciate you, bro. All right, guys, thank you for all the super chats. Calvin, thank you for your super chat, young man. Dropping the super chat in here. Hey, Smitty, list of successful coaches. Did you get my, you heard me right, Calvin, my response. Thanks again for super chatting. And then thanks to BBQ, who dropped the 50 gifted memberships. If you guys got a membership from BBQ, please thank him. BBQ, we need another bold prediction from you, by the way. Looking at the draft order, thank you for that question, BBQ, on that super chat. I'll see you all later tonight. Appreciate every single one of you. Godwin, where's he go? Drop it in the comments. Sam Darnold, where you want him. Davante Adams, once he gets released in 2 days, where do you think Adams will land? Drop it in the comments.